Hello. Ha 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 ha. This is great fun, isn't it? You're enjoying this as much as I am? Good. Keep watching. Although nobody's watching live, I understand. I have the faith that one day this will be an archive that people look back on and go, what the fuck was he thinking? But anyway, until that day, you're stuck with me. And this is the way of the future, I'm told reliably. Okay. So that means you're stuck with me. Well, you can turn me off, which is great. I suppose some people would love to do that in real life. Off, Pat. Okay. But they can't. I love my life. I really do love my life. I'm very childlike sometimes in how I get excited about that. And I think as adults, lots of people lose that element of excitement in their life. And they don't understand where it's gone or why it's not there anymore, even if they can remember what it was like. They're so caught up with the world of responsibilities and a world of things that they think they have to do, or they think is right. Then they forget what it's like to be excited about something, to go and ride on a scooter, to jump on a skateboard, to do something random that costs nothing, to go for a walk, to go and lay in the sun, to go to the beach, to spend time with friends, not getting pissed, not doing drugs, not going hard and going on long holidays to compensate for the hours that you've spent in an office. This is about loving your life, being ready to make choices that will give you something in return that you have worked for. Good health takes work. Eating the right things takes work. Clarity of mind involves removing the clutter from the mind. The clutter that's put there by other people. It's maybe not even you that's put it there. And this is one of the things that I really think is important, is that every so often, mental housekeeping is a must for people. Getting a perspective that will allow you to be catapulted above and beyond where you are into a new hemisphere of growth and development, and these things that say to you, you know what, I really love my life. That's what I do these days. I'm not poor. I have what I want. I don't have money. Some people are so poor, all they have is money. Money is a parlor trick. It's something you get when you're a good bullshit artist and you've practiced and polished your act so much that people are convinced and fall for it and want to reward you because they've enjoyed your show with endless amounts of riches and rewards and recognition. And if that's what you want and you get off on that, for me, yeah, look, I went through that. I understood what that was. But in the end, it became really tiring. It didn't matter to me that people thought I was a good personal trainer. It didn't matter to me that people said, well, you're a good photographer. What mattered was what I felt about myself and how I felt about myself and the reasons behind that. Small acts of kindness, small victories that allowed me to grow and achieve things on a really silent stage that nobody ever knew about. I didn't have to trumpet my achievements out to the world so everybody could say, well done, yes, wonderful. We don't really know what it is you've achieved, but he's clapping, so I'll clap alongside that as well. And in the meantime, we'll just keep an eye on how much money you've earned from that, because at some stage, we're going to use that to persecute you. Sad, 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 but true. Staying under the radar, doing what you like, when you like, without the recognition, without the hoo-ha. Life is so much better on the small scale. You can get off on the big stuff. Hey, look, it's exciting to go out on a yacht and to fly first class. Carry on. If that's what you want, go ahead and do it. When you look at people, and I see people like that, they come across so empty, so lifeless. They've traded everything that they once had passion for a handful of beans like Jack and the Beanstalk. Well, what the hell? Your life should be exactly what you want it to be. It should be something that you're really quietly content with, that you don't really need to tell anybody else about. You can share what you like. You can give off the right energy. You can live your life and smile when people are putting you down. When life is bad, understand that a smile is still the same when life is good. The music still sounds the same. The food still tastes the same. The streets still look the same. the trees will still move, the air will still blow, the sun will come out, and it will go down, and it will all change when it's right. That's it. It's simple. If I get into the right groove with that, I'm able to start to understand how that works, and I can hitch my wagon to that way of thinking. I move along with stuff, and if I need to make changes, I can make changes because there is room to allow that. But when I decide to, and only when I decide to, but to get to this way of thinking, to be free enough to say, well, can I really be that free? Can I really be that happy? Is that my idea of happiness? Who's to say? Not me. This is an opinion of one. And there are many billions of you out there. None of you are watching, but it's fine. I'm live and I'm here on the internet, and these will be on YouTube for many years to come. But if you've been on a trampoline and you've been bouncing for a long time, and you start to realize, okay, around me, there's just this huge perimeter wall, and I'm bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. And then one day you bounce a little bit higher, and you get a glimpse over what's over the other side of that wall. You jump as hard as you can again to get a second glimpse. Oh my goodness, what is that? And there's something outside of where we all seem to be, like in the Matrix, that is so much different. There's so much to it. It's so vast. It's a Disney cartoon on steroids in a way that's manageable. So it's a hard thing to explain, because there's no other way then for me to climb down off of this bouncy routine of just coming up and down all the time, and learning then how I can make a ladder to get up to where I want to be. And that takes removing a lot of the burdens that have accumulated over the years. Now, a lot of this is going to be my ability to address the issues that I want and to say, okay, I know what right and wrong is. That's in there. But how do I get beyond this point, this threshold, where I can never seem to get what I want and achieve the things that I really would like to see happen? Not for other people who will really give me the runaround and make me feel bad for having ambitions, just for sharing it with them, simply because they can't think that way or don't have the same imagination I do. So then I'm stuck in a little bit of a quandary, you know. My self-respect, I have to keep in check, but also I kind of run aground, you know, my ship isn't going anywhere. There's no wind in my sail, and I'm just in the same spot as I was before. Well, in that respect, you know, the same things that keep happening over and over again. Failed relationships, not happy at work, the same problems with other people in your life, feelings of worthlessness happens to everybody, not just, you know, the man on the street. Eventually they all occur to you, and whether you're arrogant or bullheaded or don't think that way, well, fine, that's you. And sometimes you're happy to stay in that secluded reality over there. But when you start dealing with the golden ratio of life, which is to treat everybody the way you want to be treated, then sooner or later you come to the conclusion, well, if I have this faulty or flawed programming in there, what is it I need to do now to be able to learn to get away from that? Why can't I lose the weight? Why can't I get the better job? Why can't I be the person I want to be? Not because of material gain, but because I feel good inside my skin, that I occupy 100% of my body, and I want to be able to integrate with people on that basis, my centered basis, with clarity of mind and understanding other people. Some people don't even know that that's a state of mind that they can achieve, but they recognize from frustration, and I really think from frustration of failure and never being able to get on, or feeling that you're just stagnating because there's no current running through your life. Basically, that is in itself a magnificent source of motivation, where the inertia that's in your life is not going to hold you back. Yeah. So basically what we're looking at here is, how do I move on from this? How do I make things change for myself? And the truth is, I have to look beyond what it is I'm able to do and start to seek help, seeking help from people who might be versed in the things that I'm able to unable to identify for myself. And this is when going to therapy to help you to understand something that you might not be able to put together yourself becomes so, so important. So fundamentally, when I first started going to therapy, this is when it becomes more specific to me. And okay, I'm happy to share my feelings and thoughts on therapy because I've been going to therapy for 7 years. A lot of stuff has happened in my life that most people will never get to see. And I'm very privileged because of that. But because of that, it kind of fogged up my head about who I was and what I was worthy of and how to deal with it. And some of my coping mechanisms just weren't there. They just were not there. I did not have a concept of how to deal with certain aspects of my life. So I sought help. My first reaction to this was, you are weak. This person's going to make you look like a nutter. They're going to give you all kind of diagnosis and they're not going to get you because they won't understand. So the first thing I did when I started with my therapist, I said, you will not get me. And she said, well, okay, let's take a look. And I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose here. The frustration that I felt inside was like a Coke bottle being shaken up, and I had no means of releasing the cap to let go of the pressure, and it sure as hell wasn't going to settle in itself. So I went with it. And every day I kind of kicked myself. I'm fucking hell, what are you doing? Why are you here? Deal with it. Make the decisions. But those decisions that I was making were just based on anger, and they perpetuated the same loop that I was going through over and over and over and over again. So I was hating myself because I couldn't break from that loop. I didn't want to be in the sessions. I didn't want to seek help because as a man, I suppose as well, I felt fucking hell, you're weak. The truth is though, we chipped away, and we talked and we talked and we talked. And the sun started to come up. 6 months in, as we were walking, actually, I walked out with the therapist to her bus stop. It was her last session for the day, and it was raining. She took my arm as we were walking up towards the bus stop, and she said, you know, when you said to me I wouldn't get you, she said, this was the issue here. You didn't get you. She said, I got you as soon as you walked in the door. This is what I do. But your lack of willingness to explore these things is what was holding you back. Your conditioning that you told yourself, that you built yourself up to these things, was your first and biggest mistake. And then I kind of realized that in that moment, what she was being honest enough to be able to say I was being an asshole. And she's helped me ever since. I didn't think I had the right to be angry at people. I didn't think I had the right to have an opinion about other things happening in my life. I had so many parts of my programming that was missing. In business, I had no problem in asserting myself. With the other men, I had no problem in asserting myself. But with women, for example, I had a huge void of being able to exert myself. And in certain respects, in the business and men's side, I was able to assert myself maybe too much, which gave me a reputation for being maybe too much like a tyrant in many respects. And I was compensating for that. So we started to understand what it was that was making me that way. And the more we went into it, the more we discovered there are reasons for this, you know, and you are not aware of what those reasons are. But this is going to point this out to you. But here's the thing that happens. When you seek help, you start to realize, okay, I'm not one to say it's your fault, it's his to blame. It's just not something I've ever relied on. It happened, let's get on with it. Let's move forward. Let's not persecute and judge. Let's get on with it and fucking change, right? But at the end of the day, you've really got to get your head around what is that's happening there. And when it applies to yourself, there's also those things. If you were unaware that these things were happening because your programming wasn't there, that person has now been able to put in the lines of code that just didn't exist before. And all of a sudden, wow, I can see things differently. I can manage better. I've got something that they've surrogated to me. I don't know if that's the right way of using that word, but it becomes a surrogate script to begin with that later I can embed and modify and avoid reverting back to the old ways. So fundamentally, as the sun comes up, you start to understand, okay, I can see things differently. And as though it's not that you're not responsible for your actions when you didn't know, but once you understand what has happened and why it happened, then you have a responsibility to put right what you did while you were unaware and ignorant of that. So you are blameless in the respect that the things that you may have done were due to something else inside. But had you not have sought that help in the beginning, you would have just continuously had this circuit breaker that goes round and round and loops and loops and loops without letting you out of that ever. And that in itself is where most people get to, that they just say, I'm not going to think about it. And they go into some means of denial, which kills them because they don't want to go and get help. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to say, oh, something wrong with me. I need help. If you have a fucking leaky tap, you call a plumber, right? If your electric doesn't come on, you call the electrician. Yeah? You need to lift the box up the stairs too heavy for you, you call a fucking removalist. You ask for help. But when it comes down to dealing with why am I such a fuck up in relationships? No. I just fuck somebody else. I'll find somebody new. Go through this again. It's not the way it works. Not if you want to be happy or find peace. You need to rip your guts out. And you need to learn about how it's getting used to finding out what the things are that matter. Whether you know them or not, whether this person is able to do that or so, then you can move forward with your life. Asking for help. Initially, yeah, sure, I thought I was a weakling, that I was unable to cope, that there's something wrong with me. I was an inferior being. I couldn't do it. And then after a while, I realized this was my salvation. It made me into a person with more confidence, a better kind of confidence, a deeper, more centered confidence. It allowed me to open up windows that I never even knew existed in my mind. It was great. And we still talk about it. I still struggle with stuff. It's an evolving process, but I recognize, I go back, I think it's 7 years I've been going. I go back every so often, we talk about stuff. I learn about myself. I grow. I let go. We talk. And it keeps me focused and sharp. No. And I'm able to be the person that I really want to be, with the confidence it takes to be so, and the clarity of mind to know whether I'm right or wrong. It's me and my feelings that come first. And there I can interact with anybody. I can make decisions that are right for me, not just decisions that because they came along. And that's a big difference from seeking help. Taking that first step, admitting to things you've done wrong. Oh, fucking hell. Why did I do this? My goodness, now I've got to set all this straight. I can't just contain it like some toxic leak and never go back there. I have to get into that toxic waste and clear it all up. Because the things that I leave behind, they're going to come back round and they're going to get me again. And your life then is a misery because you're constantly in a room where you've taken so many shits all over the place, there's nowhere to sit down. So you have to start by clearing up the old shit. And then realize whenever you want to take a shit, go to the toilet. Don't shit where you live. Keep it out of your life. Make sure you get the discipline to be able to do those things. When you recognize you don't understand something, get help again. If you're sick, you go to the doctor. Get something to help you with whatever you're sick with. If you've got a rash, you want some cream to put on it. Done, finished, no worries. And also, I think learning that you don't have to worry about those things ever again once you get a grip on how the process works. They're not there to judge you. They hear so many things, and it's because of that they're able to really give you objective advice. Whereas when you stick to just saying, asking your parents and your friends and your colleagues who just skim off something they may have heard from Dr. Phil or some pop psychology that works for them but doesn't really kill the issue dead and allow you to progress from it, it's just not a complete cure. It's just something that's symptomatic that you're dealing with. You didn't deal with the symptoms of a problem without getting to the root of it. And this is where it's most important for people to get to the root and understand these are conditions that you have that are called X, Y, Z. And if you didn't know that, now you do. And now you can see this big gaping black hole that's in your life that you just didn't see. Now we're going to close it. But to close it, you have to go back and explain and make amends for your behavior while you were stuck in it. Not to do anything other than to make yourself feel at ease with what happened. The person doesn't want to take anything from you, then fine. They want to be hateful and scornful, then fine, that's them. And maybe they're justified in being so. Obviously there's some things you can't apologize for, and we all know what they are, but the things that have happened because you're, oh, fucking hell. And you have these what the fuck moments where you go, shit, it's also clear now. You know what I mean? And you don't need to be afraid. A brave man puts things right, whereas a coward hides. 1,000 cowards can't make one brave decision. It's a decision you have to make. Decision to make things better. Decision to do exercise with me. Yes? See how I did that? Okay, kids, I'm going to keep this one short because I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say, okay? Ask for help. It's not a weak thing. And if you want help from me to get better, to change your diet, to get things better, if you had a specific question you want to ask me, then over here, it says be part of the audience. I think for this Hangout, that's what you have to do. Click on that. Check the lifetimes. There'll be some lifetimes you can join in for questions. Have I got any viewers? 2 big fat zeros. No viewers. But they make great Elton John glasses. Okay, kids. I love you. And we'll speak to you soon.